Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 14 of Connect the Dots. I'm Ezra White from Guide Dogs of Hawaii. This is a safe place for blind and visually impaired individuals to come together, share experiences, and learn from each other. Today, we will have an enlightening conversation about assistive technology. In society, technology is so prevalent for many. Life would just not be enjoyable or productive without the benefits that technology promotes. Assistive technology enables people to learn, work, and fully participate in daily activities. In doing so, assistive technology promotes a person's well being and independence. This is especially impactful for the blind and visually impaired. What was once a blind person's dream can now be reality with the use of assistive technology. With that said, let's dive in and see how assistive technology changes and enhances the lives of many blind and visually impaired individuals, and why these evolving tools inspire confidence.
Well, one thing I think is even in our own families, people can discriminate against people with disabilities. And but I think that it's important to realize, I always thought growing up that everything I made mistakes on was because I was blind, because that was sort of shoved down my throat. You couldn't see, that's why that's why you can't do this or that, And so I thought all the mistakes were because I couldn't see. But nobody ever told me growing up that everybody makes mistakes. Only my mistakes were pointed out, at least that I heard about. So everybody, I think it's important for younger folks who are blind to know, first of all, everybody makes mistakes. But second of all, whether you like it or not, you're out there representing a group of people that is pretty underrepresented in society. And so what you do as an individual is going to make a difference to the people that are around you, good or bad. And I think it's important to set your own dreams, your own path, and not let other people set it for you. I didn't know what I was going to do when I got out of school. I was never encouraged about anything. And I didn't know anybody, that had some hotshot career. And the only people I knew somebody who was a piano tuner, which just didn't sound like I wanted to do that. And so I think it's important for people to find people that support their dreams and don't, listen to the people that can be naysayers or really negative. Because, in fact, when people say you can't do that, they don't know. How do they know? They're not in your shoes. They're just either trying to protect you from failure or protect you from success.
According to the Technology Related Assistance to Individuals with Disabilities Act of 1988, a device is considered to fall under the classification of an assistive technology if it meets the following: any item, piece of equipment, or product system, whether acquired commercially, off the shelves, modified, or customized, that is used to increase, maintain, or improve functional capability of individuals with disabilities. To simplify this definition, technology is divided into two sections: adaptive and assistive. Adaptive technology enables people to learn, work, and communicate. Examples include large print materials, large print keyboards, voice output computers, enlarged monitors, and software with adjustable screen coloring. Assistive technology, as you will soon learn, gives people greater independence. Examples of assistive technology include braille embossers, text-to-speech software, and magnification software. Mostly anything that is specifically designed or modified for the blind or visually impaired can be defined as assistive technology if it enables you to perform a task better and independently. Many people use at least one of these devices. While we can say that these tools for independence transform lives today, it wasn't always like this.
Well, when I was a small kid, I went to the School for the Blind in Washington State. I went to kindergarten and first grade at public school. Then I went to the School for the Blind, and then I wanted to go to public school for my last couple years of high school, so that because I somehow knew if I didn't, I would get kind of lost somewhere in some system that I wouldn't like. So I went to public school, and it was a real shock. I mean, I just didn't have any clue what it would be like. But with my books, I remember more about in college, in public school, the teachers, I would listen, and the teachers would talk about what was in the books, and then I just would tell myself, you have to remember this because you're probably going to have a test. So I just kind of forced my brain and myself to remember what was said in class, and if I needed notes, I would take them when I got home. I'd write it down when I got home. In college, I would go to the professors the quarter before I needed the books, and so then I knew what classes I was going to be taking. I went to them and asked them what book they're going to be using, so I could then go purchase the book. And the only place you could get it recorded was in New York. So you sent the book off to New York, and with any luck at all, you might get the book in the quarter you need it. Otherwise, it would come at the very end of the quarter you need it, or the beginning of the quarter after that. And so that was challenging. And some professors, when I went to ask about the books, they didn't want you in the class, and they'd just straight out tell you, you can't be in my class because you're blind. And, back in the 70s, the early 70s to mid 70s, there was, you could stand there and argue forever, but you weren't going to get anywhere. So that was shocking too. So again, I used my, I tried to remember as much as I could and write it down when I got home. And then that's pretty much what I did. I think a lot of people in my age group, I'm heading towards 70. I'm not there yet. I have a few more years, but a lot of people had to be creative in finding solutions that would work for them. I mean, sometimes if I needed something, like if I went to the bank, first I would develop the relationship with whoever at the bank, and then sometimes I would say, oh, could you read this? Maybe it's a short page on something. And they would, but it was because I'd become friends, so not close friends, but banking friends, if you will, with that particular teller. And so, but I never brought in can you read these 12 pages to me? It was usually short things. Well, I never thought of anything I never thought, oh, I can't do this, or I can't remember that, or, I didn't think of that. I just did it. Now I think back and I think, did I do that? Because now I think, I don't know if I could remember all that stuff, but a lot of it's still crammed into my brain. I mean, it was challenging, but I didn't see any alternatives except don't go to college.
Referred to as the root of modern assistive technology is Braille. Invented by a Frenchman who was blinded from an accident as a child, Louis Braille created this tactile writing system in 1829. Then, years later in 1893, Frank Haven Hall invented the Hall Braille writer, which revolutionized Braille writing by speeding up the rate for writing Braille characters. The official publication of the Braille system worldwide came about in 1929. 6 years later, in 1935, talking books were invented. At the time, the phonograph was used to play books for entertainment and education. Talking books have evolved over the years, and today we have enjoyed digital talking books. A year later, in 1936, AT&T invented the first speech synthesizer called Voder. This would lead to the creation of text-to-speech synthesizers. In keeping with the timeline, 15 years later, in 1951, Perkins created the Perkins Braille Writer. This creation became a sought-after tool for the blind and visually impaired worldwide. In 1976, 25 years after the Braille typewriter, two things were created. The first computer program which recognized text was called the Kurzweil Reading Machine, and also the first handheld speech synthesizer, which was created by Texas Instruments, introduced in Children's Speak and Spell. Quickly following this creation in 1986 came the first computer screen reader, invented by IBM accessibility pioneer Jim Thatcher. As you can see, the 20th century was a time when assistive technology began to significantly transform the lives of the blind and visually impaired. As the 20th century came to a close, assistive technology really took off with the creation of computer operating systems, including text-to-speech. Today, there are many screen reader programs, but the most popular ones are Job Access for Windows with Speech, also known as JAWS, which was introduced in 1995, and is the forerunner in screen reading today. Not long after this, developed in 2006, was the Non-Visual Desktop Access, also known as NVDA, which was highly competitive with JAWS and is another widely used screen reading for Windows. The worldwide popularity of the Apple VoiceOver was introduced in 2005 on the Apple MacBook computer. It quickly was added to the iPod Shuffle and followed with the iPhone 3 in 2010. During the 21st century, we continually benefit from the advancements of assistive technology, enabling the blind and visually impaired community to expand independence we never dreamed would be possible. Just to show how assistive technology continues to transform lives, consider the day where blind and visually impaired people will own and operate their own vehicle. The Google self-driving car is in the works and is being designed with people with disabilities in mind. This vehicle is expected to use AI and Google Street View. Our next generation has much to look forward to.
Having, the technology, the technical advantages of having voiceover, having these braille devices, once you learn how to use them, it helps a lot with getting jobs, doing your homework. It makes life having a disability a lot easier because you're able to do what people with vision can do, and you're able to do it as quickly as they can.
Now that we have a view of how technology evolves, we can see that evolution starts off gradually. And then, by the last 30 or so years of the 20th century, technology began to significantly evolve. As we are moving midway into the 21st century, We are benefiting from the aid of technology in almost everything we do daily. The beauty of our blind and visually impaired community is that while we often share the same experiences, because of our individual uniqueness, there are so many techniques, strategies, and systems we use to achieve independence. I want to bring some of this to you so that you can find some useful information that can be applied to your daily effort in achieving your independence. I will touch on three categories: Braille, audio, and magnification devices that people use today. We will learn what people use these devices for and how they use them. Let's see if we can add something to our toolbox of technology, techniques, and skills and devices.
One piece of technology equipment that I find very helpful to me, well, a couple of them to start off with are my Victor Reader Stream and Bronote Touch Plus as well. Um, I find those very helpful because I use it to take notes either for class or like if there's like a seminar that I'm attending or anything that I may need to like record notes or write down things that are important. For example, the Victor Reader allows me to I can record a conversation that's happening at the moment, and also when I have that recording, then after I have finished recording it, then I'm able to go back and play back everything from the conversation that, uh, like a class lecture, as I'm going to be a college student coming up soon in the fall semester. So I'm going to be using that a lot alongside my Bronote, um, which I use to type documents and go on the internet and do research, uh, emails, and also for communicating with friends on social media. But most importantly, I use it to write down notes or complete assignments because sometimes I find that, at least me personally, I type faster on a braille note than I do on a computer. But that's just me personally. So it really depends on the thing that I'm doing. Then I will switch between either having it recorded or writing it on my Bruno, or of course when it comes to research paper, then I do it on my computer because of the formatting and everything. And so those are the ones that I mainly use for note taking.
Braille is a system of raised dots that can be read with the fingers and is used all over the world. It is a coding system that allows for written communication for people of different speaking languages. A blind individual who speaks English and Chinese can use Braille symbols to communicate writing in both languages. Braille symbols are formed within units of cells. A full cell consists of 6 raised dots arranged in 2 columns, each column having 3 dots. The dot positions are identified by numbers 1 through 6. 64 combinations are possible using one or more of these 6 dots. A single cell can be used to represent an alphabet letter, a number, punctuation mark, or even a whole word.
The Braille writer is it's a Braille machine, and it basically has keys on it. So where you would be able to put a piece of paper into the Braille writer, and it will allow you to basically just do your writing with it. So you have like dots 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all of that. Of course, there's different combinations of Braille. So, but it's basically like it's a heavy device, and you put your load your paper, make sure everything is aligned. That way your paper is not messed up. So that's basically what the Braille writer is. And what I used it for was math, because before Nemet's code was on the Braille note when they had before they had released it, then I would be using the Braille writer for math. Also because mathematics has a lot of graphics, so that was the challenging part too. But I would use the Braille writer to do like my math homework or any type of assignments that were regarded related to math. So, and it would be done all in Nemeth Braille, which is like a lowercase Braille. So that's how like you drop the letters and numbers from regular Braille. So that's what I would use it for. Mainly just math, and the advantage to the Braille writer that you can pretty much write as much as you want, and you just have to like change the paper, like because eventually you're gonna use the full paper. So, but that was the advantage to using the Braille writer, the Perkins Brailler, and I liked it mainly for math class because that was the only thing I used it for. So, but other than that, then I usually just use my other assistive technology. But for this one, the only disadvantage to it was that it was bulky to carry around, and it was also very noisy. So I remember this one time I was in middle school, and then it was one day somehow I don't know I forgot my Braille note at home, and then I ended up having to use the Braille writer. Embarrassingly enough, and that day just happened to be a day when we had a test, and I just felt embarrassed because it was making so much noise in the class, and everybody was all quiet, and I just wish I had my Braille note. So that was the only disadvantage that I say for the Braille writer. But other than that, I like it because I like to use it to write letters to my friends or whoever. Then I can like do it a little bit of old school style and send it out in the mail, like an envelope to them.
While Louis Braille is credited for having created Braille, he really could not have done it if it wasn't for the work already done by Charles Bardier, who invented the shorthand writing code during the war. Charles Bardier created the dots or coding system and printed it by using a slate, which today we all know now as the slate and stylus. Louis Braille, who used Bardier's shorthand system, felt that it was not adequate enough. He took Charles's creation further by making it more compact and flexible. He also added numbers, capitalization, and punctuation marks, to name a few, turning it into a long-lasting, effective means of communication for the blind. It is for this reason it is known as Braille. The slate and stylus is a two-piece device that consists of a handheld puncher and a slate with dent impressions forming the cells of 6 dots. The user would insert a thick piece of paper and punch Braille symbols, leaving raised dots impressed to read with the fingers. This device is still widely used as it is portable and very handy for short notes. The Hall Braille writer, invented in 1893 by Frank Haven Hall, was modeled after the typewriter at the time. Like the standard typewriter, it had a paper roller and a carriage return. Instead of the alphabet keyboard layout, this typewriter had 6 keys representing each dot position of the Braille cell. The Hall Braille typewriter revolutionized Braille writing, as it increased the speed rate in writing Braille symbols. In 1951, Perkins used the Hall Braille writer design, which was not patented, to design the current Perkins Braille writer. The Perkins Braille writer became available worldwide, and it is still used today.
So I use the Braille writer for brailling whatever script my teacher need me to braille out, or whatever assignment I need to transcribe into Braille. In the beginning, I didn't like it at first because I thought it was hard, but when I got used to it, I really like it.
If you are thinking of using a slate and stylus, here are some pros and cons. Some pros are it's portable and lightweight, so it's easy to carry around. It's great to have handy to jot down quick notes such as phone numbers, home addresses, email addresses, or just little reminders. One con, however, is that in order to write the Braille, you have to write the Braille backwards. So, if you can write Braille backwards, you might enjoy this handy tool. The Perkins Braille Writer is another reliable tool. It's good to train on. It's manual. It's wonderful to have around when there's a power outage. However, it is very bulky and it does make a lot of noise. And it's definitely something you would not want to be lugging around at school. I speak from personal experiences.
The Sweden stylus is like a little device. It's used for writing braille, um, and it's the way you would work it is you would use like a pen thing, and uh, it would let you put braille dots onto a piece of braille paper. Um, so you could basically use it for like small, like short notes, or like get somebody's information, like their phone number or email address or something like that. Basically, it's like a way of creating your notes. And for me, I've used it before. Um, don't like have like a lot of experience with it, but I find it like kind of challenging. And the reason why I say that is because it can be, like I said, it's good for small notes, but when it comes to writing the braille, then you would be writing the braille backwards. So that's the only disadvantage of the trading stylus. But like I said, I did find it pretty cool, especially to try like an alternative way of writing braille. But for me, I just had like a little bit of challenges. But I think if I practice a little bit more, then I think I could get better.
I was exposed to the slate and stylus back in third grade elementary school. So it was very helpful during school note taking, because it was less of a hassle to, instead of carrying around a braille writer, which weighed at the time like 10 pounds. So the slate and stylus was more compact. You can stick it in your backpack or your folder, etc. And you can do note taking in class without bothering everybody with the braille, because you got the tap tap tap, the loud, and the just the noise of the braille is like super loud, versus the slate and stylus was more quiet. So I used it for a lot of note taking. And the one that I have that I love, I've seen maybe about 3 different styles of slate and stylus, but the one that I have, my teacher gave me in intermediate. So usually the slate and stylus comes in 2 pieces. One side is your 6 cells, 4 to 6 lines, I believe. And then on the front plate is your numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, same thing, your 6 rows, etc. So to read your notes, you would have to flip your slate and stylus over, open it, and then read the notes that you made, or if you need to adjust your paper, etc. The one that my teacher gave me that I have to this day that I still use, this one, you don't have to open the second piece in the back. There's actually a trap door that swings open so you can read your notes, close it back up without taking your paper out, etc. And then keep on going.
As technology advanced, the electric smart Braille typewriter became available in 2011. Invented by Perkins, this device has all the classic features of manual Braille writer. With technology, however, this device also has a video screen that would allow visually impaired and sighted people to use this device. It can be sent for audio output, and documents can also be saved and transferred via flash drive. There are various models of Braille typewriters, making it easier to find one suitable for the user. For example, we have the Perkins Unimanual Brailler for those who are one-handed users, and there is also a large cell Perkins Brailler. So, If you are interested in learning Braille or feel you can add these tools to your toolbox, one of these products will likely meet your needs. Looking back, we can say that Braille writers and typewriters certainly were a must-have to achieve some level of independence. The simple exercise of jotting down notes for the blind was not any different than putting pen or pencil to a notepad for the sighted. As time passed, technology continued to evolve. Computers were becoming popular in households. With computers came the World Wide Web. For the blind, there were no devices that provided access to information on the internet. That is, until 1987, when Dean Blasey introduced the first computer designed for the blind, called the Braille and Speak. This was the first line of what we refer to as the Braille note. It was a small device that used the Perkins key layout. Users would input Braille and the computer would echo and speak results of commands using the 6 keys. This lightweight and portable device enabled the blind to independently communicate and benefit from all that the World Wide Web had to offer. Following this device came the Type and Speak, which was introduced by Freedom Scientific and contains a QWERTY keyboard. If you didn't know Braille, you could still access the internet using the standard keyboard. The Type and Speak device was also able to convert to Braille mode that the user could switch to if need be. From there, more Braille notes became available, making it competitive and offering different features. Braille notes now have Braille displays on the device, now allowing the user to use Braille as their input and output.
So I used the Apex for, I want to say, 10 years now, a little more than that. And it has helped me a lot with my independence. It's helped me a lot with my writing skills, my reading skills. I used it for schoolwork and reading. Outside of that, the only thing I didn't like about the Apex was it was really hard to email and go on the internet with it. But other than that, I really had a good experience with it. You know, creating a document and writing stuff down, it was very, very quick. It was easy to use. And it was really nice because it had both Braille and a speech option. So I was not left to only one.
Braille devices have flourished through the last 20th century and haven't stopped, except for the Smart Braille typewriter. Although limited, none of the devices we covered so far come with a screen. Sending and receiving information from these devices are all tactile or a combination of tactile and speech. This all changed in 2016 with the Braille Note Touch invented by Humanware. This tablet uses the Braille keyboard instead of the QWERTY keyboard and has all the elements of a standard laptop built in. This innovative device allows sighted individuals to visually follow the user. For users with functional vision, they can touch the screen and interact. In addition to being able to independently communicate and interact with the internet and a variety of programs, there is still the matter of materializing the information we want.
I haven't used the Touch as long as I used the Apex. I've only been using it for about 4 years, almost 4 years. And it's not that much different than an Apex, but I will say it operates a lot quicker than the Apex does. Emailing is a lot easier to do on the Touch. Going on the internet is so much more easier. You can even download books a lot easier on the Touch.
The user can interact using Braille with their computer, and they can also print Braille using a Braille embosser, which is a printer that prints Braille in raised dots rather than inked text. Today, there are so many different devices and accessories that you are likely to put together a system that fits your needs. Braille, from its day of creation, remains today as one effective means of communication for the blind. For those of us who are blind and do not use Braille, technology has been just as innovative and determined to make life meaningful. In fact, some of you may not know, but Job Access with Windows for Speech, or JAWS as it's most commonly called, actually started being used by the blind in 1985. This program was designed for MS-DOS operating systems and provided audio or speech feedback. When Microsoft released their Windows operating system in 1994, JAWS quickly followed up in 1995 with their next program designed for Microsoft Windows operating systems. One of the reasons why the screen reading software is the most widely used, even though it can be quite expensive to keep up with, is because of its use with macro. This concept allows the user to customize the user interface, allowing for better experiences. There are several other screen reading software available, however, none have soared above the popularity of JAWS. Only one other software has been able to top JAWS, but it was only 1 year in 2019, and this was the Non-Visual Desktop Access, or NVDA for short. This software is free and is growing in popularity as well. But again, being able to customize the user interface makes for a better experience, which is why most people will pay for the subscription to JAWS. JAWS can control all major functions of the Windows operating system with shortcut keyboard commands. This means that the keyboard shortcuts used on any Windows program application, such as Word, will be consistent. For example, to print a document, the program shortcut is Control-P. JAWS matches this shortcut command for the same function. When you press these shortcut keys, you are communicating with JAWS to execute the print task. You are not communicating with Word. However, there are many keyboard commands which are unique to JAWS, which are generally high-level function tasks which may include 3 or 4 simultaneous key commands. Most users, however, don't really venture into these areas where the high-level keyboard commands might be used.
Without JAWS, I could not be independent. I could not be navigating my laptop. I specifically have it loaded on my laptop. So my laptop is on the go, using it for school, I was using it for work, etc. And without the JAWS, it's like you got a computer and now you have the computer software to talk to you. You can be independent and save all your work or whatever task that you need to do for work or for schooling.
VoiceOver is an Apple accessibility feature that is built into the device. It is a screen reading technology that enables users to control their device using a rich set of keyboard commands and gestures. Unlike JAWS, VoiceOver is integrated within the Apple device's operating system, making it cost-effective for the user. Also, unlike JAWS, Apple updates their iOS software regularly without cost to the user, whereas JAWS requires an annual subscription fee to keep up with the software's operating updates.
When it comes to voiceover, it has changed my life drastically because when I was younger and I wanted my first phone, I didn't know how I'd be able to use it without voiceover, and I didn't even know if it even existed before I got my first phone. So I learned how to use voiceover on my dad's iPad about 2 years before I got my first phone, and it has helped me a lot once I got my first phone, I was able to quickly learn how to operate it, how to go from app to app, how to send messages quickly, how to call, how to go on the internet. And I am very good with the phone. I'm probably the best with my phone than I am with any other technology device besides the Braille Note. And I can help anyone else that has a problem with it.
I actually use all three screen readers that we mentioned here so far. I've been a JAWS user for about 6 years now and use it mostly at work these days. I use JAWS Professional because I am already familiar with the keystrokes and working on various applications such as Outlook and Google Docs. When I first learned about NVDA, I took the opportunity to check it out and discovered just how easy and portable this screen reader really is. It is not as complex as JAWS, and it gives access to most commonly used applications. I like to use NVDA when I'm leisurely exploring the web or on recreational applications such as audio games. I also like that NVDA could serve as a backup screen reader in the case that JAWS might crash on me one day. I'd say for those who haven't used a screen reader before, start off with NVDA. It's much more easier to learn NVDA as opposed to JAWS. Also, NVDA is free. If you like NVDA, you may want to explore JAWS. This way, you will have both NVDA and JAWS experience. For me, however, it's VoiceOver. This is definitely my favorite screen readers out of the three we show to you folks today. Now, for me, I've been an iPhone user for over 10 years. The first iPhone I received was the iPhone 3GS in 2011. At this time, I could still see a bit. I didn't have to use VoiceOver. A year later, in 2012, is when I lost majority of my vision. However, I did not know that VoiceOver existed, or Zoom. Because of this, I would often find myself squinting and trying to strain my eyes while I was looking at the screen. Anyways, fast forward to October or November 2013. So it's about a year after I lost my vision. This is when I attended a phone conference with my mobility teacher at the time. Little did I know how attending this conference would change my life for the best. The most biggest thing and the most impactful thing I took away, hands down, was learning about VoiceOver. VoiceOver was a very new concept for me at that time, and it did take a bit to grasp at first, until I realized what I could do with it now that I could stop using my vision. Being able to make phone calls without the help of Siri, able to send and receive text messages, video and media, social media, and so much more. All of this culminated together for me. Having so much information available at my fingertips was very empowering and confidence boosting, as at this time I was still coming to grips going blind. Now that my world is open to more possibilities thanks to having VoiceOver, my overall well-being due to VoiceOver was pure joy.
Someone like myself who had not grown up with this technology, it's a big learning curve. So I get frustrated with the gestures and the swiping, and do I double tap or triple tap or quadruple tap or, but it just also is a matter of just taking the time to sit down and go over the tutorials and over again till I get it. So again, it is a learning curve, but once you get there, again, it's a wonderful thing.
Before the voiceover, I have hard time try to use the computer to to do things, which is difficult. Now with the voiceover, my life is much more elements to it. I can listen to things, I can choose things, I can text message out, I can receive message and read those emails. And mainly it's for entertainment. I can watch a lot of YouTube videos, that kind of things. So the voiceover, that part helped me a lot.
What makes Apple products attractive to the blind and visually impaired is not only the voiceover feature, which is necessary to navigate and read the screen. Apple devices also offer a virtual personal assistant named Siri. Siri is a virtual personal assistant that works by converting your spoken words into commands and speech into text. Using these two operating features make communication more effective for the blind and visually impaired. No matter where you are, VoiceOver will keep you in contact with your world. Siri, on the other hand, can only work when you have an internet connection because it sends your spoken commands to the Apple servers using artificial intelligence. This transmission is instantaneous. Now, if you have the iPhone 13, you will have voice control, which operates like Siri but does not need an internet connection to work. To be clear, VoiceOver is an accessible feature that enables the user to navigate and read the screen. It does not open or close apps or take verbal commands from you. That is the job of Siri and voice control, which are not accessibility features.
I'm an older person, so I used to listen to Star Trek, and everything in Star Trek was computer, turn on, computer, do this. And so I always envisioned, someday they're going to have everything done by voice. So we're still in the infancy in that respect. We're not at the Star Trek level, unfortunately, but it's a major improvement. Again, I lost my eyesight 10 years ago, so this is a big learning curve for me as an older person. I didn't grow up with any of this, but it's wonderful to be able to ask Siri, what's the temperature, what's the weather? Alexa is another good example of voiceover. Alexa works very well. Sometimes the iPhone, when I use Siri with it, it either doesn't understand me or it gives me other information that I didn't ask for. So I think there's background noise that's involved in that, especially if you're outside and there's a lot of noise in the background. It might not hear you very well, but that's understandable. So it does have some limitations, but it's great, another great resource for someone who's blind. I wish that they would work more on the technology and move it forward. Because I think also people, not just blind, but low vision, people that are seniors that have a hard time maybe pushing the button, or people that have finger dexterity problems, people with CP, muscular dystrophy, it would be a big help to them as well.
Audio support for the blind does not end at screen reading software. A whole world of standalone and portable audio devices has become available, thus expanding our independence. Audio devices include media players, TVs, GPS navigation, color identifiers, blood pressure monitors, glucose readers, weight scales, currency identifiers, thermometers, measuring tapes, liquid levels, and so much more.
My device, my handheld device I choose is the Victor Reader, my Victor Reader Stream. I use it for recording notes and also getting books from NMS Bard and Bookshare. And I've been using it for about, I say, 3 years now. 3 years just about. And I like it because it's portable, so I could carry it with me everywhere pretty much because it's a very small device. So I could literally just put it in my pocket, but I can have it with me at all times. So I can either listen to my book, or if I want to record something that I'm talking to my friends or family about, or something at school or work or whatever it is, then it's always good to have it with me. Also, especially like if I travel, then I can download books beforehand and I can listen to my books, and so I could just pretty much take it with me everywhere I go. It really doesn't matter because I just use it, and I just love the device because it lets me get things done easily and fast and simple, and that's why I love my Victor Reader.
Or I used to use a device called an Ideal where it reads dollar bills like 1, 5, 10, 20. It's helpful in a way because when I am by myself and I have really nobody that has eyes to read it to me, I can use that iBill to read it to me, and or if I don't really trust someone.
As far as like bump dots and color identifiers, then I have what's called a Colorino. It's basically a device that allows me to identify different objects. It'll let me know the color. Since I'm completely blind, then I don't see colors at all. So it'll speak the color when I point the Colorino device at a specific item, like a piece of clothing or anything of that nature. So I would use it to identify the different colors of different things, and then it'll tell me like whatever color it is, like green, yellow, or whatever color of that nature. Um, so I find that also helpful, and it also can detect like the light intensity. So it'll make like a higher pitch sound usually, like if it's lighter, or lower pitch sound if it's darker, something like that. So that's why I find that device helpful. And I also have a it's called like a braille colored labeling clothing labeling tag. So it's basically like a set of tags that have different color abbreviations. So like it'll say BL for blue, GR for green, and so on and so forth. So I could basically stick it to a piece of clothing, like shirts or pants or whatever type of clothing it might be. That way, whenever I feel it, then I can kind of match my clothes out and kind of get an idea of what is what. So that's really good to have. And also, you just take it off like when you wash your clothes, and then you can put it back on. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Either that, or some of them are washable, so you can like wash it at the same time, and it won't mess up the braille or anything like that. So I think that's for that. And then as far as like kitchen appliances, one of my favorite tools there is especially the electric skillet. And the reason why that's one of my favorite tools is because it allows me to get my cooking done, and I can pretty much cook up all types of different things. And some of the things I made with it was spam fried rice. So I basically used it to fry the spam, and when I put like all the ingredients in there that need to be incorporated or used for the fried rice. So I put like the spam and the eggs and put like the whole recipe together with that, and it is very easy to use and operate. So I like to use it, and it's also very accessible to use. So I find that very helpful for me. And then one of my other favorite cooking devices, I'm not gonna get to all of them, but some of them, like, 'cause there's too many. But I like the pasta maker. It's basically you put your pasta noodles inside in like a little container, and you can warm it up in the microwave, and it'll cook your pasta for you within like 8 minutes. So I find that very cool as well. So it's just like a quicker way of making pasta and things like that.
These products all have the audio feedback feature built in, so it is ready to use right out of the box. There are so many items that we at Guide Dogs of Hawaii are familiar with. If you find anything you might be interested in, feel free to call us for more information. We have covered Braille and audio devices, which are continually increasing and advanced to meet our overall technological world. Individuals with little functional vision or blind often use a combination of technology to achieve greater confidence. If you are legally blind with functional vision or low vision, you too can achieve greater confidence with magnification tools. You can find magnification tools in most devices. Wherever you see accessibility features, you will likely find magnification. Magnification is the enlargement of the elements on the screen or document. The caution, however, is on the enlargement power. When you are exploring a magnification device, be sure to confirm the maximum enlargement power. The devices we will be sharing today will have various maximum enlargement powers. But don't be discouraged if one doesn't have the magnification level you need, because there are other tools out there that may meet your needs. The Microsoft Windows operating software comes with accessibility, such as Narrator for screen reading and magnification. Windows Magnifier magnifies elements up to 16 times and offers 3 different modes to enlarge the screen. In full screen mode, the contents of the entire screen will be magnified. When this happens, the use of the mouse won't be necessary because the screen is enlarged. The contents will not all be available at the same time. Using lens mode is like holding up magnifying glass to your screen. Only the contents under your magnifier will be enlarged. The rest of the screen will remain its default size. Now, you will not literally be holding a magnifying glass up to your screen. As you move your mouse, the contents will enlarge. In docked view, a portion of your screen is docked to your display, and the information presented changes as you move about. While on the magnifier, you can also use the narrator at the same time. ZoomText is an independent magnification software that can be installed into computers with Windows operating systems. ZoomText magnifies up to 30 times, with the highest at 60 times. This software operates in the same way as Windows Magnifier does, allowing you to choose whether you want the full screen or portions of the screen to be magnified. ZoomText also comes with the reader that you can use at the same time. This software requires an annual subscription fee to keep up with the operating system updates.
Been using ZoomText for, I want to say, about 12 years. Well, 10 years ago, actually. I was using it for college. And then I was using it for a Microsoft class that Guide Dogs of Hawaii was giving the clients. For college, it helped with my college work, with my schoolwork, my homework assignments, like for Word, to writing my papers. I use it for the internet to research my documents or for my classes, and for shopping if I wanted to shop online. I also use it for I use the background reverse it instead of black white on black. I use the reverse black on white, so because I have the glare, and I enlarge it to maybe 3 to 4 times zoom. Also, in college they didn't have the voice mechanism on it, but when I was introduced it in Guide Dogs, I was able to use the combination of the voice, so that enhanced my experience with ZoomText. Challenges-wise, just remembering the keystrokes. Other than that, it was easy to navigate, well, for me, because I read the instructions, and it's just memorizing the keystrokes and the function keys.
The magnification on Apple products is called Zoom. This accessibility feature is built into the operating system. On the Mac, Zoom can magnify text and images up to 40 times. On iOS devices such as the iPhone and the iPad, the magnification is only up to 15. You can use Zoom and VoiceOver simultaneously, but be aware that some touch gestures may interfere with Zoom. Like the other magnifiers, Zoom offers magnifications in several modes. The full screen mode magnifies the whole screen. In split screen mode, the magnified area is in the upper half of the screen, and the desktop in normal view will appear in the bottom half of the screen. Rectangle mode, which is similar to the magnifier mode in Windows, magnifies the screen where the rectangle is focused, so that as the rectangle moves, the outer displays a regular view, and the contents within the rectangle is magnified.
When I started to use the Apple Zoom, it really made a huge difference for me because I really wanted to be able to see things, and it really made it super easy for me to navigate the screen. And it's very interesting because a lot of the people that see me use it are so confused at how I can understand what's happening on the screen and only have such a small portion of the screen zoomed in. Because when I use Apple Zoom, I usually use the feature to zoom in on one, for the full screen to zoom in, instead of having the regular zoom feature just zoom in a portion of the screen or something like that. So I used it a lot for schoolwork, obviously, just so I can make sure I keep my grades up, but I also used it for reading things in video games that I wanted to play, or kind of just making sure that I had the ability to work and have the understanding of what was on the screen. So it made me feel more confident because now I could actually see, all the stuff that was on the screen, and I was able to kind of prove people wrong if they were but it didn't say that in this chapter, but I instead was able to just instantly find out that, they were wrong, or, it said that in that chapter, but it wasn't where I thought it was, or something like that. So I'm very grateful for all the abilities to have these technologies. So I only know exactly where or how to activate the Apple Zoom. So that one is activated in the system settings, and that allows you to, after you turn that checkbox on, you're able to zoom in more easier, and it's a lot easier for you to navigate the screen and things like that. Another cool thing that I know of using, especially now that I have used a Windows computer a lot, is that they have this new ability, not new ability, but it's a capability that was there for quite a while now, and I kind of overlooked it when first changing over to Windows. But they allow you to now zoom into the screen by using one keystroke, and that's the only one you need to activate it, and it's changed everything for me because it's not something you have to turn on in settings. It's natively activated on Windows computers. So you have to just hold the Windows key and then hit the plus key on the keyboard. Not if you have a numpad on the keyboard, it's not that one that'll activate it, but it'll be the one next to the delete button on the standard laptop or keyboard. So that has been so beneficial to me because you just set it to whichever size you want and it will zoom in the entire screen. But of course you can change the preference that you want it to, so you can have it change only the top half of your screen or even the bottom half, or have that little selected box area where it does zoom in. I've noticed that it for me, it really just works best when I have the entire screen zoomed in because it just makes it so much easier for me. And I really have been able to use it to my advantage, especially these past few years with COVID and school being online. It's just super beneficial to me and everyone who is visually impaired and who needs a accessible way to, get their information. And of course, combining this zoom in feature with voiceover, NVDA, all those different softwares, it is so beneficial and it really does help.
As you can see, all three magnification tools offer similar viewing modes. The difference will be in the magnification level and whether the program is standalone or a built-in software. There are an assortment of portable and handheld magnifiers available today. Some popular ones include the Ruby 7, Ruby HD MagnaLink Zip, and the Amigo HD.
A Ruby 7 is a sort of like a CCTV, right? So you can zoom in, zoom out, but you can also take a picture of that answer, and you can just type it down on the keyboard because it really zooms in, and you can also change colors like a CCTV, and it really helps me because it's much lighter than a CCTV.
So magnifiers. I use this reading magnifier. It has like a mirror. Like it also has like a bolded, highlighted thing. When you put it on a book, it helps you like see the words better. And it especially helps, of course, when you're tired at school, like you can read it and then you still see the words fine. Another one is this similar one that has like a magnifier. Think of it as like a button, like a cylinder button. What it really does is it still makes words bigger. It helps you. It has like the same technique as the one I just mentioned. It helps you zoom in words.
Everything we covered today is just a preview of what is out there for the blind and visually impaired. I hope that I've given you useful information in that if you're not yet a technology user, you will consider it. Feel free to reach out to me if you are interested in any technology and want more information. I'll be happy to share what I know. Technology allows us to achieve and maintain our independence. For Hawaii residents, if you can't afford these pieces of technology, Guide Dogs of Hawaii will be able to help.
I feel that the more options younger folks, kids, high school students, the more options that they have and are taught to use, the better choices they can make. Like even people who can see, if they have more options, they can make better choices too. So I think the technology is amazing, and I see how fast it changes. And I also think that low-tech solutions should be available because not everybody has the technology or can afford the technology or, wants to have the technology. So, and especially if we're trying to look at, seniors and kids growing up and all through life, different generations, some are going to want to learn computers, even if they're 90. Some people aren't going to want to. And so I just feel like the more options people have, the more independent and accessible the world can become.
As we draw to a close with this episode, I want to take some time and thank you all for joining me and hope you found useful information. We welcome your feedback at connectthedots@guidedogsofhawaii.org. It would also be great if you could join us and follow us on our social media platforms, such as Instagram and Facebook. You can find us by searching for Guide Dogs of Hawaii. Many thanks to the following individuals for contributing their personal experiences to this podcast: Duncan Lee, Deborah Brayman, Kreda Mizutani, Robbie Crouch, Guywood Dela Cruz, Charmaine Burchard, Cheryl Nelson, Kimani Kuomo'o, Aiden Camaro, Skateboy Sones, Siorian Fitim, and Madison Noel. I will now leave you with an olelo no'eau, or a Hawaiian proverb. I encourage you to reflect on this saying and see how it can be applied to your life. Today's olelo no'eau is Lave kama'alea a ku ono ono. Acquire skills and make it deep. In other words, if you want to become really good at anything, you got to study and practice. With that said, thank you all for joining me today. Hope you all take care. And in Hawaiian, we say ahui ho a malama pono. Aloha. Hosted by Ezra White. Written by Ezra White with help from Leanne Lujan. Music by Ezra White. Edited and published by Primo Mateo. This episode is sponsored by Guide Dogs of Hawaii, a nonprofit organization serving the blind and visually impaired of Hawaii.